Well,
yeah.
I guess there's nothing left to say, but
Goodbye.
hey, everybody, and welcome to the Sausage Tray. My name is Justin, and over there is Josh, and further over there is Eric. I'm assuming I'm pointing the right direction because it looks that way on my screen. I wasn't?
Nope.
Okay.
We're
That
over.
way is Josh, and over there is Eric. All right. We have different orientations going on. This is the Sausage Tray, where we get together whenever we feel like it and talk about random things. Usually we have a plan or a cadence, but we're kind of just throwing that to the wind and going for friendly conversation. You can see us live now on twitch.tv/roommatesgaming. You can see these videos when they go up on YouTube, which is going to be shifted to a Wednesday following the live stream that we do. And I think we talked about this, we're still in the works with it, but we're going to change up the schedule a little bit on how often these go up and the frequency for this versus hard at play. However, to quell that need and that hunger that you have for Roommates Gaming content in the meantime, you should check out the older videos that we have up on the page. Check out the TikTok that Josh has been working on because those clips are great. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. Of course, follow us on Facebook. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to everything on YouTube and catch our new gameplay videos that go up every Monday. And with all that, oh yeah, I forgot this last week. We are on, or not last week, whenever we did one of these before. I can't keep up with it. I need to keep a calendar.
It's every other week
podcast. Now. Yeah, bi-weekly somewhat. Our audio podcast goes up on Anchor, which distributes to all your platforms, so you can listen to us in audio format while you're driving down the road, debating whether you want to veer the car off the street and end your life.
So, I've heard enough of this.
Yep, exactly.
Especially the gallon challenge episode. You want to? Well,
we'll be happy to be part of your rock bottom.
I've heard enough of this. I'm dying
exactly.
tonight.
It's over.
I feel like after the gallon challenge, it's less you want to die, and more you want to take as many people out with you as you can.
Like, all right, enough living.
I can't recommend going back and listening to the gallon challenge unless you have a really high tolerance for nonsense.
That was peak the sausage tray. If you want to get an idea of what the sausage tray is supposed to be like, listen or watch the gallon challenge episode, and that's just preem, baby.
And then just look at how long it was before we did another podcast. Look at that, and then see that's when the hiatus started.
We're all busy trying to figure out the gallon challenge.
Without further ado,
it's not milk for everyone who thinks.
What are we talking about today, guys?
We're gonna do what the title says in the Twitch channel thing, and it says
put a title on it.
Yeah.
Gallon Challenge 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Ooh, this is the most
Justin, we're talking about it again.
not another D&D. I like it. Okay, so I should have read that before we got started here. We had discussed it earlier, and that's what we're going with. Okay.
Yeah, D&D.
Talk about D&D and tabletop. We have played several portions of a campaign at this point since we discussed it last year sometime, right? And we are having fun. In fact, we have spun off and talked about doing in the current campaign I'm DMing. We've talked about Josh running a campaign where I can actually play as a character and everybody else will have different roles as well. And another one of our friends DMing a different campaign. So really we're just getting in way over our heads with how many different stories we're going to be running at once.
Eventually there may be 4 games running simultaneously.
Yes. I was looking through my notes the other day and I'm like, man, I can't remember the voice that I did for this guy or this guy when we were playing the other day, and everybody's going to be like, this doesn't sound right, but it's running together.
There's only 3 ways to play D&D. You either have one game that you're completely committed to, you can't commit to anything and you're super spotty, or you play as many games as you can and hope at least one of them pans out.
Yeah.
We have what seems to be a little bit of column B and C going on at all times.
Yeah, like because like the first time we did the campaign, was that this year or was that the end of last year that we first started it?
You're talking about the ship?
Your campain.
Yeah.
That was like the end of last year, right?
That was the end of last year. Yeah.
So we didn't get together again until like February.
No, because That was right after October or November. It was somewhere around
Yeah, it
there.
had been like November, just beginning of December.
Yeah, but we had a shit ton of fun playing for just like the 4 or 5 hours that we were sitting down that night. And that particular night, it was me, you guys, and JT, and we had a blast. And of course, we've brought in Eric's brother AJ as part of the same campaign. Cameron is going to join us. I'm actually going to go ahead and put this on video, so I'm willing it into existence now. I'm manifesting it that he's going to join us for our next session of the campaign. But
Saturday.
So yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it, and we've talked about tabletop before. We've played around with the idea of doing this, but the more that I've gotten invested in these 3 books right here and everything else as far as 5e lore goes, I'm like, all right, I'm 100% into this. I love the world building, pulling all of these things out. So far, nothing that you guys have come across in the campaign is something that I've borrowed from somewhere else. All of that was organic and stuff that I came up with. And that's the part that I'm really enjoying. And I know, Josh, you're doing a cyberpunk campaign. It's pretty much the same way, right?
Yeah.
Like, just world building is so much fun. Like having those rules, like learning how to live and exist within them, it's a lot of fun.
You see, I'm a masochist, and when I was like, you know what, they set up Night City and all these corporations and all these established gangs for you and all this stuff, and you should just use that. And I was like, hear me out, kiddo. I'm gonna make a whole new goddamn world, a whole new character. I'm gonna fuck Night City. Not that I don't like. I like Cyberpunk 20. We're playing 2020 as well. That is the Cyberpunk we're playing, not Red. But I was not the Red, but whatever. But I was like, I'm just gonna take all of the cool Cyberpunk shit and make my own fucking world, because why the fuck not? Because like I'm addicted to like world building, and like I fucking made maps. I made a whole fucking timeline of like the history. I've made how many gangs did I said I created?
Like 40 something.
Yeah, I think I like made like 50 something. There's like 48 gangs. I think right now it's like at 50. I've added a couple. Just because I thought of funny ideas, or like I thought of something, I'm like, that'd be hilarious for them to run into. So I'm gonna make this new gang, but like there's like the whole like social construct, there's like gang hierarchy, like, and the fucking, because I like it. I like the world building because I like, telling stories and stuff like that, and it just comes natural. I'm just like, yes.
That's the part that it gets me on every creative level, where it's like, all right, I'm going to make this town. All right, well, the towns are there. I have to fill it with shops and inns and things like that. All right, well, all those have to be worked by somebody. All right, well, they work at this place. Where do they live? And like, what's their backstory? Where did they come from? X, Y, and Z. Before we go any further, you're talking about street gangs, and I want to just recommend this real quick. The Beat Urchins, a street urchin gang of musically inclined individuals. I'm going to throw that your direction and let you do with it what you will.
Don't encourage him.
I am going to encourage the shit out of it. Everyone I think of from now on.
Great gangs, man. There's a gang of posers named the Hoffs. They're all got plastic surgery to look like David Hasselhoff.
They're not to be hassled with.
And their slogan is "Don't hassle the Hoffs."
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I know everything that I've done so far, it really lends itself to the fact that we know each other so well. So everything I've done so far has been for one of 2 reasons. The first one is, we played that first little, our campaign started with what I actually wrote as a one-shot for my kids to introduce them to D&D. And you guys did fantastic with it. We had a lot of fun that day. It turned out really well. But I got to learn your characters because that was the first time that I had really discussed them with you, and we saw what direction that was going.
That was like the first time you'd have ever like RP'd with us.
Yes.
Like anyway, so it's the first time you got to see us as players in general.
Yes, exactly. And see which way you were going to perform. See, I know you personally because I've known you all for so long, Eric the longest, but it's like I got to see how you were going to be in that scape and in that way. And I learned the quirks of Eric's wonderful little goblin and the quirks of Josh's fame-hungry half fork. And from that point on, I was like, everything I do in this world, everybody I create, every place I make is going to play into one of their two weird habits. So I did things that would distract and enthrall the idea of Eric's Pythag, and I did things that would absolutely outrage Josh's music.
What's really funny about that is Pythag is very representative of my like core play style. I really like making a strong, well put together character sheet and then completely playing them the exact wrong way they're supposed to be played.
So good. It works.
He's a rogue. He's a swashbuckler. I'm supposed to do sneaky things and be the one investigating stuff and finding things for the party. I don't ever do that. He's too stupid to do any of that. So you throw things that like in my head, like metagame wise, I'm like, this is something if I was playing this character the way I'm supposed to play this character, I would have caught on to this whole little hook like 30 minutes earlier. But unfortunately, character's not that smart.
So to lean into this a little bit and define a little bit more, Eric's Goblin Rogue Pythag basically won't think for himself unless it's about eating and polyhedral items. So that's about it. Which makes it hilarious because if he has to roll for anything, like he's really well statted, he's gonna roll well for the most part, but then he has absolutely zero personal initiative, not text initiative, to do anything.
Yep.
He'd do fine.
I am
personal initiative. Yep.
The way I wrote the character, he is incapable of metagaming.
It is really funny. So Josh's character has to basically lead him around, takes care of his finances, tells him what to do. And it's funny because Josh's character has that presence of being in the lead and doing exactly what he wants. And by extension, having Pythag do what Pythag wants. And Pythag's just like, okay, just do whatever. To the point where my kids have started doing that shit around the house. And just like, I tell them to do something, they just go, okay, and just meander off and do it. It's bled into my day-to-day life. I just wanted to know
I'm very proud of my stupid little goblin.
That is fucking beautiful.
It's hilarious, but yes. Josh's character also has a huge passion for performing, and if there's an opportunity, he wants to do it. So I started by building a stage, and then I built a building around it and populated that building, and then I built a city around that building and populated that city and filled it with tasks for them to do. But it all started with the idea that no matter what I do in this part of the campaign as a DM, no matter which way I go with this, Josh is going to end up at that fucking stage. So let's go ahead and just make it a point where he has to be there.
Yeah, it's like when you first mentioned, like you were like describing the town and you said there was like a center, like a town square with like a fountain.
Yeah.
Immediately my brain's like, all right, well, I'm going to grab Pythag and we're going to go do our normal routine that we have like in our backstory where I perform and he's like my little grinder monkey that, kind of dances around while I play to collect coins. And that was my immediate thought. And everything after you said that just kind of blurred out. And I'm like, all right, I think that's what Muzak's got to do. That's just what he has to do.
And I do that part too. I'm like, all right, so Eric is going to have to be this little, hey, give us money. Hey, tip him. Look how great he's doing kind of guy. And I'm like, I distract Pythag with food and just pull him away that way.
And then completely almost might ruin your campaign by distracting me with the opportunity of I could get this ship that we just sailed here on.
Yeah.
And like also when like that phrasing kind of got in my brain, I just like wide-eyed, I'm like, we're gonna go get a ship, and that's gonna be our ship, and Justin's about to not have anything planned anymore because I'm gonna take Pythag, get on the ship, and be like, anybody else coming along? Better.
My DM notes and plan were written as, if Josh does this, then do this. If Josh doesn't do this, then do this. Because I'm like, I know this motherfucker is going to try to steal this boat. Like, I know it full well. So I worked all that in. The one thing that I didn't see coming is, to be funny, I worked in a kill the rats in the dungeon or kill the rats in the cellar part of our last session, and I'm like, all right, so they're going to get to this place and have to do this, and Josh just straight up went, nope. No interest in doing that, and just walked the fuck away. I'm like, JT and AJ went on their own little, alphabetic piece of their journey with their 2-syllable name or their 2-letter names. Yeah. Went doing this piece, and Josh and Eric were like, no, we're not doing that. we don't have any interest in it.
Unfortunately, Eric's character has no choice. So if I say, come on, Pythag, we're gonna do this, Pythag's gonna go, okay. Because like backstory reasons, I'm the only one that's fully connected to Pythag. Me and him are friends and like previously, so I'm gonna be the one that he goes and he listens to first when given a command, because of how Eric's backstory works. When he likes to,
he's there to serve.
So if someone gives him a command, he'll do it. But Muzak's commands will come first because he's known him the longer. He's like, okay, I'll listen to that one first. So if my character was like, nah, that sounds beneath me, then it's beneath Muzak and it's beneath Python.
That is hilarious. Like,
unless motivated by food.
One funny thing too that I just didn't think about, I'm like, everybody speaks Common, so I don't need to worry about having NPCs understand Goblin if they don't have to. But damn it, I wish I would have thought of that. And now I'm going to now I've triggered that. Like, I'm going to have people speaking Goblin in the future because they can understand shit.
Yeah, because only Muzak and Pythag speak Goblin, so they can communicate with each other without letting people know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
and also my understanding is much better in Goblin.
He doesn't understand Common as well.
So I'm definitely not going to have that with everybody because you want to keep things moving, but it's definitely something I'm going to consider. One of the big things that I've kind of fallen off the bridge with is something that Eric does, where you just get in a habit of making people and making characters, not even NPCs, but like playable characters and adventurers.
I'll wake up one day and go, I wonder if that would work.
Yeah. It's like, man, this seems like an interesting combination, even though this skill set and like this race and this class don't necessarily think they would click. I can make it work. Yeah. And you just go off on it.
Sometimes you might have less than desirable stats, but it's going to be a really fun character.
Yeah. Oh man. That's why I messaged for AJ's campaign that he's planning. I messaged the other day. I'm like, all right, so I know I was going to do this, but I'm going to completely throw that out the window. We've already got a monk. Josh is going to be a monk, a Kinsei monk. I'm like, I'm going to throw this out the window because I thought of something, and this is going to be so much fun to play alongside Josh and Eric as adventurers in this. I'm going for it, and I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. But I've gotten to the point where I was using that 5e character sheet builder that we all were using, and I started using D&D Beyond just for the generation and stuff like that, and then I found myself going in and buying the spell lists and character packs and everything like that because it would come out of my Google balance. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't mind doing this. And I may have filled up those character slots pretty quick. So I'm like, infinite storage isn't that bad. I'll just go for. So I've fallen down the rabbit hole with official characters.
Yeah, I really like D&D Beyond. It's just I don't want to have to pay for every little thing, especially since I already own most of the books.
So the fun thing is if you if you're a DM and you pay for that DM level of D&D Beyond, you share all those components that you've unlocked with up to 12 people in up to 5 campaigns. So that's 12 people per campaign.
You
right?
don't say.
Yeah. So that means it's $50 a year, and you and everybody that you share that with get all of those digital materials for character building, which the D&D Beyond character sheets and like the way that app works, I love it.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So like all those spell lists are listed out, all those character sheets and everything are listed out, and those materials are shared by everybody on that plan at one time. The only thing that you can't share is the infinite character spaces. Everybody, for a free account, you get 6.
Yeah.
But if you pay for the account, then you get infinite.
Which I can boil down most of the characters I want to play to 6 characters.
Yeah. So like it's looking real tempting for like the number of D&D games that I have. Not to mention like the on-screen rolling and everything now, where it just calculates all of your shit into a single roll on its own.
And the good thing about the D&D Beyond character sheet is everything is verbatim what the books say.
Yep.
Where with the app that we all use normally, some stuff is verbatim, some stuff is summarized, and some stuff is paraphrased. And if you don't know specifically the thing you're reading, sometimes you might be missing some details.
Yeah. So like when you select your spells on the Beyond app, right? Like it lays them all out. You're like, I want to use this one. You tap it and it tells you, all right, so this is everything that you have. This is how long the spell takes. These are the components that you need to cast it if you're actually going to do it. So if you're not capable of it, it'll tell you right there in the app because you don't have it in your inventory. Like it's remarkably well constructed, and I wouldn't expect anything less than that from their own first party app, to be honest with you. I was surprised at how well it worked. So yeah, like I'll get on there when I'm bored and just start slinging characters together. Just like, I'm going to go with this pattern and this pattern and this pattern to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, I like that. And I like that. So I'll either delete the person and just start all over. And other times I get on Hero Forge and just start putting something together. I'm like, I like the way this looks. I'm going to build a character out of that. Go both ways with it. But I'm having a blast with just creating personalities and worlds and seeing how we play through it, because you get to a point, and again, I'm a year maybe into actually investing time with tabletops. You get to a point where you're thinking not only about the story that you want to do, but the stuff outside of those lanes that you just need to have full in case somebody says, yeah, I don't want to go that way. I want to go that way. Like, I'm gonna see over here. So like just after a conversation with Josh, I'm like, okay, I've created like 13 islands and like different like, coastal areas just to fill them in for whenever Josh gets a hold of this boat and decides.
But it could go the opposite way. You could be putting little breadcrumbs around and hoping, the rogue who has probably the best perception of the group. Well, now that we have a cleric, probably not, but at the time, the best perception of the group, but he doesn't do any perception rolls because he's a stupid little goblin.
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things I found myself trying to reel in is how much I'm giving away when I'm describing territories or areas that you're in or things like that. I'm like, I want you guys to find the things that are put out here, and I don't want to spoon feed you anything. So at this point alone, you guys have missed out on somewhere in the ballpark like 700 gold or something like that, and a number of items, none of them magical, but it's just things that I've littered around the world in different places where if it's there, you find it, good deal. If you don't, oh well. Like it's just, but it's still fun. Like I still like having that in my notes and having all those things laying around. And there are a lot of instances where I have to pull it completely out of my ass because I'm like, I wasn't expecting that response. Let's go this way.
And the cool thing about the party not finding something that you kind of wanted them to find is if we didn't know it was there, you can just move it.
Yep, we always can. Yep. or I could leave it there for one day if you're just feeling squirrely.
Yep.
we want to go back to that town we started off.
Yeah.
You remember that barn we were in like 3 days ago?
Exactly.
For some reason, my magic find senses went off. I think I want to go visit it again.
I don't know why, guys, but I have a really strange urge to go fishing. Like, I had zero plan for fishing. I just mentioned it offhand,
3
and
times.
you guys were like, he's putting a lot of emphasis on that. I'm like, please fucking God, don't tell me you want to go fishing, because I don't have anything prepared for that. Like, one random
that's the other thing you got to worry about as players. They'll get something.
If you say a word one too many times, we're gonna go. He's saying that word quite a bit. Is that important?
I was saying it because the town is small and boring and there's nothing to do. And you guys are like, he's putting a lot of emphasis on fishing. I'm like, don't do
We
that.
might have a fishing minigame
Yeah.
we might need to go do.
All these people are talking about how cool fishing is. And I'm starting to think there might be something about it.
I started scrolling through my notes. I'm like, does this general store have a fucking fishing rod for sale? Do I need
Which is a
just
fishing
create
rod
one?
cost?
Exactly. Like, it's really funny how those personalities clash and things like. Josh is trying to be standoffish with literally every business owner except for the one that gave him alcohol in a stage. And even then you started off on a bad foot, but you reeled it back in.
That is true.
Yeah. The damn pride getting in your way. But
He's prideful. He's a barbarian, bard, orc. He's weird.
It's man. It's I don't know. It's a lot of fun to see the way these things weave together. I would be interested to play like as an adventurer. I'm really looking forward to that, because right now it's like I know the way the world is, right? I know what your options are, and I know how far outside of that I'm going to allow you to go before I go, nope, nothing happens over there. Like, that's the end of the world. You can't go that way. But when we get back to we get into somebody else's campaign, I'm really looking forward to being an actual player and being able to make these same decisions and go into things blindly. It's just
I'm really excited to play with you for AJ's campaign, and I'm also really excited to, if we decide to do one of the campaign ideas that I have, DM for you, since I've never done that for you before.
Mm-hmm.
But I've DM'd for like everyone like that's part of the core like roommates gaming. I've DM'd for everybody except for you. I've DM'd for Cameron, Eric, Maddie, Cameron, and JT, but I've never DM'd for you.
It's gonna be so much more special now.
Yeah,
like we'll light some candles and just
especially depending on which campaign we like decide that this is the one that we want to go with. Since I have 3 ideas, 2 I'm more I like more than the third one, because the 3 ideas are one would be a completely totally brand new fucking world that will change a little bit now because of that weird discussion we had about dimension hopping. But it's would be based on Cameron and I's cartoon, that world. So and it's cool because that world already was inspired by like a bit of like D&D stuff anyways. It was like inspired by D&D, like cartoons like Adventure Time and like anime and manga and comics and stuff like that, like in D&D already, like it was already inspired by all those things. So like it fits the D&D mold already. But that one would be very exciting because that one would be very much like I'm going to have to just ground up everything, and it'll be interesting because like each like play session would kind of be like a one shot, because like the first one would be the primary focus where like the rules of the world are established, and the end of it, y'all find some reason somehow at the end of that campaign or that session, you guys will find the magical item that transports you to different dimensions, and like it'll cliffhang on you getting transported to a new dimension and not knowing where you're going. So the next one will be a one shot where you would play in this new dimension and then leave by the time we're done with the session. So anything you do in there won't really matter, or will it? And then you'll leave and then come back to the main world, and then probably the next station will be the full big world, a session in that, and then go to another dimension, one shot, then big world, one shot, big world, one shot. And I really like the idea of doing that, because any like idea I might like, oh, what if there was like a Western? That'd be cool. What if a Western RP would be fun? Well, that would be one of the one shots. You go to like Westworld for one of them, or you go to a samurai town for another one, or you go to a haunted spooky village for another one. But it would all still take place in one big overarching story, but still get to play in different ones. Which just for DM, it sounds like a lot of fun for me, because I'll get to world build a lot.
So you just get to like lay out 8 Michael Crichton novels and just toss a D8. Whichever one you land on. So we got. See, anybody who knows me will tell you I hate Monster of the Week / Case of the Week TV shows. I can't stand them. But as far as a campaign goes, where like I'm playing the same character, but every week it's just going to be something that I'm not used to and that I totally don't expect or know what's coming. I'm 2,000% into that. It's just like it's gonna keep things moving in such an awesome dynamic way.
I'm just happy to get another character out of my head.
Because like also because it wouldn't necessarily always be a Monster of the Week. It'd be a Monster of the Week every other week, because I would still want a session where it takes place in the big normal world, not the one-shot world. So you'll have to come back and deal with the problems of that real world, because obviously there's a BBEG running around, and like you have the device he's looking for. So obviously you're going to be thrown into problems when you come back, and like because of the story, whenever you come back, you'll have to just get back to being in your real lives, where you have actual like things you have to do. So it'll be more like, okay, we need to do this, and randomly the device will go off and y'all get slung to another dimension and then have to do an adventure there, and then come back and be like, oh fuck, we need a
we got Saturday morning cartoon that I want to happen now.
We need to like how long were we gone in this time to that time? Oh, you were gone about a week. Oh, okay, cool. So wherever we were when we just dimension hopped without any control, a week has gone by and we've gone back to the time. So a lot has happened since we've been gone, and we might need to clear up stuff with relations or any other thing we had going on.
By the way, the last thing I was doing before we jumped was cooking food, and my house burned down.
Yep. You're all separate, and you're all since you're all linked to it, you're all and whatever you were doing when it happened is left behind.
Because you get poofed out mid-stroke, and all of a sudden
you show up with everybody else and you're just naked.
You just show up with everybody else and just like glaze somebody.
Just dick in hand. So first order of business is finding me new armor.
Did anybody bring extra pants?
And that one would be more like goofy and like silly, and like not as like there would be like a serious like overarching like theme, but like it would still be more fun and just playful and just like something really fun and silly. And I kind of like doing that in my DM and like in games that I've ever done. Like sometimes I like a little serious, more like this is a serious situation, but a lot of times I like to, because I like being funny. I like laughing, and I like seeing my players laugh and go, what the fuck? Just have those reactions instead of going, this is serious. We need to make sure if this roll doesn't succeed, then like the whole thing's going to fuck up. Like, right. No, this doesn't succeed. And well, that cool thing that I really wanted to do did not happen. Or I just said some dumb shit to somebody, and it doesn't like make that much big impact, but it's still fun and enjoyable. But I do still like the serious aspects that RPing can bring, and that's why one of the other ones that I would like to do, like one of the two, the first one I said was one of the main ones I want to do, and the second one is an idea that I thought of could be a cool concept. And I was like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, I really want to do that, because it'd be very serious. And like you still could have fun with it, but like it would be like intense. And I would like to do that as a DM, like have that intensity for my players. And it's basically you are, you all have like a role that you've had together beforehand, and so you already all know each other and stuff, but you are framed for something that you didn't do, but you're still bad guys, but you aren't like super bad guys. It's more like you guys are part of like some kind of like bat like an assassin guild or something like that, and a guild that does crimes and stuff like that, like blackmails people, assassins stuff, but nothing like evil. You aren't like killing children or anything like that, or trying to take over the world. You are just people hire us to do the things that they don't want to do, so you are
Han Solo
bad
level
guys.
evil.
Yeah, you are evil.
We're bad guys. We're just not bad guys.
Yeah, you're like anti-heroes in a way. But you are framed for doing something way more horrible than you would have done. So you go to this prison, but then you escape. So you're not going to have much things with you when you escape. And like the whole premise of it is for you guys to get away, but also figure out who framed you during that time while you're trying to escape the person that is hunting you down. And it'll be like, this like warden from the prison, and he's hunting you down. So you guys need to move while he's moving. And like, there'll be like a time limit, or a timer that he's constantly following you guys as you are moving too. So, you can decide, we're not going to take a short rest or we're not going to take a long rest because that would make the time closer for him to reach up. So we're going to keep going, put ourselves ahead a couple of days or something like that, then take a long rest. So they're probably gonna take steadied rest, but we're not gonna choose that, so we can lengthen our time so we have more time to investigate and discover stuff that we want to. But yeah,
That's cool. I mean, I'm really looking forward to. Actually, the escape one sounds really cool. I'm looking forward to both of them. I don't know what AJ has planned. I know he told us one of the campaigns that he was looking at, but I can't remember.
It's Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Yeah, that's right. The campaign he's going to run.
Yeah. So like, I haven't looked at it. I've avoided looking at it just for that purpose. I want to,
I mean, you've got a pretty good character, but I would recommend just reading like the summary of it, just so you have an idea of what we might encounter, because it's not guaranteed we'll encounter everything that campaign module has.
Yeah.
It'll mostly depend on our choices and the dice rolls, but
/ the DM can add stuff.
The DM, yeah.
Yeah.
But I would recommend just kind of reading the summary, and so that way you kind of understand the flavor of the campaign we'll be going in.
Gotcha. I'll do that.
Because AJ has already threatened Eric with a lot of cleric enemies. Because Eric doesn't like clerics, and so AJ loves clerics, so he wants to throw clerics at Eric just to piss him off.
Real quick. AJ's cleric in my campaign is named Cleric, just to rip on his brother. So it's CL apostrophe Eric and
Cleric.
And it's my favorite bit that has been introduced so far. And it was all stemmed off of a joke. It worked out
just
great.
To disturb me.
See, like, that's the things I like. Like, a joke has created this big thing in the story. And I just really enjoy that. Like, you don't have to take D&D like super serious. You can have a lot of fun with it.
There's no need, because we're playing on like a friendly social level, right?
Yeah.
There's no need to take that kind of thing super seriously.
Yeah, it's not like we're going into like a adventurers league and messing with people's like professional campaigns and whatnot.
Yeah. I've looked at Roll20 a number of times. At this point, I've looked at it a number of times. I'm like, I really just want to jump into somebody's campaign, but some of these are paid, and I don't know if I want to pay like a couple bucks to log into somebody's campaign just to be an asshole and wreck it. Like, it'd be worth the money, but it's just a matter of do I want to do that. But yeah, playing with each other has just been miraculously great. It is one of the downsides, right? Because Josh, you and I are two of those people that we love creating these worlds, these characters, and like all the depth and everything, which directly leads and also we lead things. This is how we are. So it pretty much directly leads us into being the DM most of the time to orchestrate and organize these things. So it's a rarity that we would have the privilege to play as co-adventurers.
Yeah,
That's why I'm looking forward to AJ's so much. I'm like, because this is one of the few opportunities I'm going to get to actually play alongside Josh. Like, I'll be able to play alongside Eric. I'll be able to play alongside JT and whatever character he's using at that point. Like in this campaign, JT is using a Dragonborn paladin called Iskra, and he is very proud of himself and his own self-worth, and it's pretty great. But yeah, it's good to actually have a chance to play alongside you. I can't wait to play with Cameron. I'm interested to see how that'll work out, because I don't know how he is with stuff like this. And same with Maddie. I really want to play with Maddie too. But I've got my own wife to play, and it's not her go-to favorite thing to do, but she's gotten involved when she's played before, and it is really funny to watch her invest and be the way she is.
Yeah, I straight up threw a dragon at the Maddie and JT's first time ever.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Not just a dragon, undead dragon.
That's great.
It's all right. It was a staged fight.
Yeah.
But like it was story reasons, but because of story reasons, they had to fight a dragon for a little bit. Just because I wanted them to have that like idea in their head, because we were playing with somebody at the time who was a veteran. We were playing Pathfinder, not D&D.
Yeah,
but he was a veteran at both D&D and Pathfinder. So I was like willing to like be a little more ridiculous, because he would be there to kind of like explain everything to everybody. And just the way that I built the story, they needed to run into this necromancer that actually would have changed their opinion on the whole story that they've been given. Because like I made a whole fucking brand new world and made a whole world map, and there was one whole region of like places, like countries and stuff that we made that Eric and I just sat down and renamed like retail stores to like fantasy names, and that whole region was like Target and like like Wale, like Wale Mararte or something, like just weird, like. But we were taking like retail stores and like coming up with a weird fantasy kind of old
McCall's.
Yeah, just trying to think of weird names, and we would like placed them around, and
that's great.
And even for like Pathfinder at the time when we were playing, I still don't know if it is a playable race, but I made a new race in that campaign too, if they wanted to play, just because how I built the world and stuff like that.
Were you playing 2E?
This was Pathfinder first edition.
Yeah, it was
first edition. Mm-hmm. So how? Because I don't have the first time I ever played tabletop was on Pathfinder. I don't know. I can't tell you if it was first edition or 2E. It was in 2018 or something like that.
It was most likely first edition.
Yeah. So I thought. I mean, it was fun. That was my first introduction, and I had a good time with it that one single session. It was supposed to be a campaign, but I'm pretty sure I ruined it. But it was fun. I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate it was my wife's cousin who got me looped into it. But ever since then I had that itch to play something again, and I talked to you guys about it, and that's how I stumbled into 5E, and that's how this ridiculous situation that we're in right now stemmed off. But yeah, like I wanted to go back and look at the rule set for Pathfinder and see how well it paralleled. I probably don't want to get too invested in that, because I don't think I'm ready yet to diversify that information and say this is 5E and this is 2E for Pathfinder, or this is Pathfinder period. I think I'm still too fresh. That kind of stuff will bleed together really quick, and I'll be like first season of Critical Role where they couldn't get their shit straight. But I am interested in looking at it, just like we looked at. I looked at Cyberpunk with you guys. Ultimately, the Cyberpunk skill trees and character options and all that stuff, it didn't really click with me, especially after playing 2077. but I'm glad you guys are having fun with it. And I know, Josh, you mentioned the Street Fighter tabletop before, which
I still would like to
amazed by.
do what?
I'm amazed by that. And the fact that
I still would like to bust out another. I would still like the DM another Street Fighter campaign at some point, just because it is surprisingly fucking fun. Like the combat system in that game is just fun as shit. Like it even has a combo system like in the game. Like
that's really cool.
You can create combos and that'll be your combo. So once you get those move sets off, you have created your combo and it does like a additional like damage and stuff at the end of it if you can consecutively pull off each move turn after turn. And it's just it gets crazy as fuck.
We my wife and I went to a comic book store the day before Valentine's Day. We were running out the clock until dinner, and while we were there, I was looking around and they had like a surprising number of tabletop books for like pop culture franchises. And I'm like, I didn't realize this was such a huge thing for honestly for things you wouldn't expect it to be. Like a Harry Potter tabletop, it makes sense. You know what I mean?
It makes sense.
A Star Trek or a Star Wars makes absolute sense. But then there's
so much so that one time we got really interested in playing a Star Wars one. We've created a lot of games, not the greatest mechanic wise, but like we try our hardest. We've made a Star Wars one where we're like trying to figure out mechanics so much so we were like going into like KOTOR and KOTOR 2 and trying to figure out how those mechanics worked for their RPG system and base something like basically a pen and paper version of KOTOR. Like we went in and was like, all right, so this is how skills work. And this is how these items work to add up to your defense and attack. All right, cool. Let's just write all these notes down and we'll try it. And we tried it like once and we're like, that was really neat in our head. But it was in our head. Like
really
once we tried to get started, we're like, there's a reason why the computer does all of this.
It's a lot of math.
The same with like Fallout. We made a completely from the scratch, ground up Fallout RPG where we had like a VAT system and all of the different skills and stuff. And it was more akin to like the older Fallout, like 1 and 2, like how we set it up. And like we even had a VAT system and stuff like that. And like it was really fun and really intense. Cameron played that one with us. And like it was nuts.
That one went a bit better because we based a lot of the rules off of the existing Fallout tabletop rules.
Yeah, GURPS. So
but we simplified a lot of the really weird stuff that they used for the Fallout stuff. And we went, no, that's real complicated for no reason at all. How about we just make that a very simple calculation that never changes?
And then there was another. I know we've talked about it before, like some in the other D&D podcasts we did, but we made a Gundam one. That one
got out of hand fast.
That one got out of hand real fast because we're like, we got to have your pilot stats and you have your Gundam stats. And then we were like, okay, we're overwhelmed.
There's too many layers to that. Yeah,
there was a lot of layers. We were like, before we get too much farther, let's reel it back and think, do we really want to play this? And then we went,
or is it better in our heads?
It's better in our heads. If we really want to play a Gundam RP, let's just LARP some Gundam. Let's just go out in the yard and be like, I'm in a Gundam and I'm fighting you. That would work out. That would work out a whole lot better than what we were trying to create.
Well, man, that's my thought on Star Wars. Like I'd be totally down to play one, but I would not be down to create one. Like it's something that I want to find a book on this and see these systems.
There are actual tabletop rules for Star Wars.
Yeah.
But
and
we're masochists.
Yeah, we're masochists.
all those classes and everything that would basically bump up against each other in the Star Wars world. I can only imagine how complicated some of the systems are. But I would love to see, like, after looking at rules for 5e and everything, I'm like, all this is wonderful, and I want to see more rules. I want to see how other things are built. It's so good. But
we even played a Pokemon RP. Like, we didn't make it up. Someone had created it.
Yeah, someone created it.
And it was like really well in depth. Like, they had a list of the Pokédex and like all of the stats and stuff like that. And we were like, holy fuck. Like, this is, they even like introduced like a couple of Fakemon in it too that had their own stats and stuff. And we like played it for a little bit and like, we were like,
This is really
this
good.
is actually pretty well done. And if we, unfortunately, there's a lot of management because it's Pokemon. So you're basically in charge of 6 potential party members yourself.
Right.
But it's still actually really fun because if you, just like in a Pokemon game, you can just go, Charizard level 100, defeat these assholes,
Kill them
all. Because like it even had like the stats up, the type matchup like into play, and like those, if you were fighting the Pokemon that was weak to this, you actually got a damage modifier because you were fighting them. And I was like, or if you were fighting a Pokemon that you had a resistance to, and I was like, this is such a cool ass mechanic, and then props to whoever designed that, because it was actually really well done, and we had fun with it for a while.
That's really cool. I'm really into this whole thing. Like which is really surprising. It's not something I would have expected myself to say 5 years ago or 10 years ago, because it didn't seem to click with me. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's honestly because I never actually gave it the chance to sit down and look at what those worlds could be, like what that creative aspect could be. And then like it took talking to you guys, and like I said, playing with my wife's cousin, and honestly, many episodes of Critical Role for me to get appreciative of that feeling. And it really is like you read a book, that story is being given to you. You watch a movie, that story is being given to you. You play a video game, you got to earn that story. And you play a tabletop, and it's like, not only are you earning this story, but you're shaping it. Even if you're not the DM, like you're shaping it. And the DM, who has this overarching plan in mind, and this is really like my final thought, if you will, like the DM who has this overarching plan in mind, I'm delivering this to you. This is something that I made to deliver to you. And it's enjoyable watching you guys find all these details, like discover this world, go through this story, come across X, Y, and Z. But watching everybody be surprised in unison and figure things out in unison and working together and trying to say, well, this, like, let's do this. Or how about doing this? Like, maybe this is a better idea. Or the conversations and the cooperation and everything. That's the really awesome thing about it, because it's a group of people. It's like watching a movie with your friends, you know what I mean? And you all see this thing coming at the same time. Like, whoa, like, that's cool. Wasn't expecting that. Or, this, like, let's figure this out. Or, don't take your clothes off and run outside when there's a serial killer outside. It's all those things that you would say to your peers while it's going on. And I'm looking forward to being on the opposite side of that, where I'm on the receiving shocked end and not the delivery end. Mm-hmm. So I cannot wait for not only AJ's campaign, but for yours as well. And I'm trying to get this bug to bite more people so that I can inspire more people to play, and like, hey, yeah, potentially write your own campaign, or look at this and like try to host one yourself, because it's a lot of fun.
I would actually love to play a 5e campaign with a bunch of people, because the more people are in there, the less encouraged I am to play a straightforward character.
I honestly
I get to play the weird ones where I'm like, I'll never get to play this because in a small party, I'm just going to be a hindrance to everybody. But in a bigger party, I can play that niche character really, really good.
I really want like 6 to 8 people for a real campaign. Like, I think that's a good number. Like to run.
If we play a campaign with 6 to 8 players, I'm going to come in with something even weirder than Pythag.
That'd be wonderful. That would be absolutely wonderful. And that's what I would want. That's why I'm like, man, maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea to get somebody to find somebody that would be a DM for that, so that we could all be co-players, right? Unless
it's a party full of relatively new players, and then I might do what I'm going to be doing in AJ's campaign, and I'm going with a much more straightforward character that's very easy for me to play, so that there is at least one person who can, stand up and just fight things while everyone else is doing the really fun, flashy stuff with their characters, because they're not really sure what they really wanted and whatnot.
Right. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty happy with the direction that I ended up going. And it's really the more focus that I put on character building, the more I started learning those builds and move sets and stuff like that, what would work, or what I think would work, what I don't think would work. And I'm looking forward to that one for what I landed on. But I would love to have like a firm game where we could all be co-adventurers together. At that point, it would just be finding somebody that would DM it. You know what I mean? Like that could DM it. I guess is another way to say that. But yeah. So
yeah, I really would like I know you don't like the game kind of the 2077 kind of turned you off on Cyberpunk, but I kind of really wish you were in our campaign, because each time we have a session, it ends with everyone just going, all right, awesome.
That was something.
That was cool. Like either like, oh fuck, you can't wait till next time because whatever we're getting into is about to be fucking stupid.
I'm not kidding. Every single we've had like what 2 or 3 sessions now?
3 now.
3. We've had 3. Every single one. When the session ends, I go, survive one more day.
Because like how I'm doing this one is different than I've ever really DM'd any other one. I'm literally I created a world for them, and I said, all right, go
have fun.
And like I'm giving them, obviously a job, a main job to do, but like for the most part, I'm just like, what do you want? You guys can do what you want to next. Like the next time we get together and play, they'll be starting their heist. And I set up a plan for them to, in my head, I was like, they're going to have potentially unlimited possibilities, but I'm going to give them 2. I'm hoping that they create a third one, because in my mind, I have created the third one, and that's the one that I really want them to go with, but I'm not going to tell them that one.
Right.
But I gave them 2 plans. Like how everything, the job set up was like, you can go in a little more like Bond style, where you all like dress up and try to get entrance to it, but you'll all have to like dress down. You'll have to get rid of some of your guns and stuff that you wouldn't be able to carry in because of security and stuff like that. You'll have to go in.
At which point I was looking at my character sheet and went, I don't have anything that could be considered a holdout weapon. So,
or I was like, you can go in as like help, like the roadies and stuff like that, because they have 3 NPCs that are part of their big party of 6. And I play the other 3 NPCs, but they all have a job. I gave them a med tech because I envisioned them having a med tech, because you were interested.
I was supposed to be the med tech.
You were supposed to be the med tech,
right back here. Yeah.
And so I gave them a med tech because I'm like, well, I had already planned on a med tech being part of their party, so I'm gonna give them a med tech. And I gave them a net runner. And then like the key opponent, who's not going to be part of their party for the whole time, is a rocker boy, but he's like the catalyst of the whole job. But he is, there to, it's, a big soiree, and he's actually playing because it's like a big benefit thing, and that says like record company, but they're there to steal something from that building while they're there, and he's obviously the disguise. They're going to go in with him as guests through the front door, or with him as guests because they're part of his crew now. They're either roadies or musicians in his band. So those are the 2 plans that I laid out for him. I'm like, this is what your fixer has brought to you. These are the things that you can choose to do. And I was like, now you guys need to discuss. The other 3 NPCs aren't going to say anything. It's just up to you guys to actually decide. And so they started like going over, like, I seriously think they talked for like a good 45 minutes discussing what to plan. And what they landed on was what I wanted, which was the third option in my head, that they do both plans at the same time. So they're splitting the party. Some of them are going to go in disguise in the band aspect. So one of them is going to go with play in the band. 2 of them are going to be roadies. Then the other ones are going to go as guests. One's going to be a bodyguard. One's going to be the date. And the other one, is the rocker boy. So he's the key catalyst person. So they, on their own, were like, what if we kind of like combine things and aspects of each plan and kind of do our own thing?
Which I think was sparked by me going, well, I'm going to need literally to smuggle in my gear because there's no way I'm walking in the front door with anything I have on me.
Because they would like go out of character and be like, man, the bond plan sounds so much fun though. Like we won't have any gear, but the bond plan sounds so much cool.
Yeah.
Like that one sounds so cool. That one sounds so much cooler.
The way I've set up my character and the way he described how the security will work, I went, so I have a pistol, I have a sword, and I have 2 cybernetic arms. I only have 1 cybernetic arm, but I have like a quick change and I can swap my arms. None of the stuff I carry would go through the front door.
So it's like, unfortunately, I couldn't, even if I wanted to, be.
Yep.
I couldn't go through the front door.
I wouldn't be able to go through unless I went as a bodyguard. I wouldn't be able to come through the front door with even my cybernetic arms because they wouldn't pass the security check.
And so they just on their own just kind of like develop their own little plan. I'm like, yes. As the like the referee, I'm like, yes, do that. Excellent. And
so I was like, well, I'm at least gonna have to go as a roadie or something to smuggle my own gear in. If you guys would like to smuggle our gear in with the band equipment,
because like that's what I wanted out of this one. Because normally I kind of like anything that I've done, I've kind of like, this is a story that you will be following. For this one, I wanted to be like, I mean, if they wanted to do whatever they wanted to, they can do it. And that's why I really like Cyberpunk's like background story part of the character creation, because that gives the referee a bunch of characters to throw at them later. That so if they do decide, let's go off and do something else, I can be like, well, it would make sense for this character to be around that area. So here's a character from one of your backstories, and now y'all got a whole new thing that you can be entangled in.
It was so in depth because, like I said, excuse me, excuse me again. Like I said, I made the character, so I made like the 5 or 7 or 9 like other characters that are in my backstory that are just part of this person's history. Like it is so in depth, especially when you start going for those dice rolls. Like, man, those added up quick. And in my mind, I was like, I want to be like 50. And then like I looked at how the character sheet with creation was going, like, nope, no, I don't. there's so many years for variables, so you got to roll for every year. And at that
those
point,
dice rolls will not be nice to you.
no, they are not. It's like
ask AJ. They were not nice to him. He's got so many enemies that I can't wait to throw at him.
I was like, it's like every year after, is it every year after 16 is you have to roll for? So I think I was like 28 or 28, right? 2 of those years, nothing happened. 2
of them. The rest shit happened.
The rest shit happened. So there are 10 solid years of like, you fell in with this bad crowd, and then this dude betrayed you, and then you hooked up with this chick. And then, like,
AJ has like a whole ass campaign for a backstory.
Yeah, it is great because like there's going to be a point where we're going to be like, all right, now that this big job's done, y'all are going to join AJ on his quest because he's literally got an entire nation that can come after him.
I had a business coming after me because I betrayed my business partner because he got too invested into my personal life. And I had I was in a relationship with this one chick who I was working with and doing a job with. And she left randomly to kill this other chick from my past who I hadn't talked to since I was doing a different job, like when I was like 18, after I escaped prison when I was wrongfully framed for something that happened to my mom, and my dad got arrested and I had to flee. And dude, it is wild just how much shit happens with those dice rolls.
Compared to that and the other 2 characters, my character had a relatively quiet life.
It is pretty normal life.
His whole catalyst for being who he is pretty gnarly. But as far as like events that Josh can throw at me, it's kind of there's an inconvenience and there's an opportunity for character growth. That's kind of really it.
Man, I was sitting down with like a glass of whiskey and a book, the book and a notebook. I'm like, I know, like, I thought I fucked up somewhere because I'm like, way too much is happening to me just based off dice rolls. This can't all be right. And like, I reread line after line after line. I'm like, no, I did every step of this exactly as the text says. And I've created a world on my own. I hope Josh has room for all of this.
Yep,
Yeah.
I do. Because like how I started the campaign too isn't like you'll all meet in a tavern. I started with everybody individually doing their own thing in their own life, and then they join, they get a job for a fixer to be part of this big group, which is then the tavern part. But it's not like everybody starts in the tavern. Everybody got to experience their character with the people that they know and the world, like, and like they got to start in a little world that I created just for them. Then they got to move part of the big campaign. And I think that works out really well because like all three of them are now involved in three separate big things that kind of overlap each other in certain different aspects. And I can't wait for all of those to just I'm ready to start popping things off. Because AJ Wright, his character right now is dealing with the potential death of one of his riders in the Nomad clan that he's part of. And that'll be a big deal because one of those riders is really high up in the like hierarchy of his clan. But like his position, he gets to like move freely back and forth to do how he sees fit. So he's got that powder keg ready to explode. But one of the people that T knows used to be part of the rival Nomad clan that attacked his clan. So at some point, T knows somebody that has affiliation with the people that have potentially killed one of AJ's family. Then T is currently in the middle of a gang war. He is living in one area that he does jobs for, and he's got like this little private detective agency thing there, and he's working for like part of the gang because they give him stuff, and they're more of a like a family type gang than they are of like bad people. They're called the Black Spiders, and they're like a Russian mafia type thing, but they do more like net running stuff, and like gun running stuff. They're not like, out in the streets going, haha, give me all your money, or we sell drugs stuff.
Protection money.
But they're more like, we protect our neighborhood, fuck everyone else. But there's another gang in his district that he lives, called the Crimson Horde, and they're just like evil. They are bad, and they're slowly spreading through the borough that they're in. But in T's backstory, he has a favor from a booster ganger, and that favor is from someone in the Crimson Horde. And so the people he lives with and the people that are at war with them, they don't like each other. He's caught up in the middle of it because he knows someone in the Crimson Horde, but lives with the Black Spiders. So they're like, infiltrate them or else. And he's like, I guess so. And then like the Crimson Horde's like, hey, you live in Black Spider territory. You could totally get us access to that. So you should totally do that. So he's just waiting for a foot to drop and him die in the street, bloody.
It's really cool, like to let everybody else be a part of some, or to see other players' backstories unfold, because a lot of times the way it works with 5e, at least if you go in face value, the tavern start right, you learn it as you play, but to see it before the story kicks off, that's a really cool thing. That's really cool.
Yeah, because like,
well done.
All of the players know it, but their characters don't.
Right.
So they just have to live with that information going, man.
The irony is heavy.
AJ's got a tough, where he just got out from is a tough situation, but my character has no idea, so I have to play it just like that. So
yep, I'm clueless here.
My character's basically just hanging around with these characters that could potentially tear the city apart with the wrong action. I'm just like, man, it's really cool to have a crew and do some jobs and get paid. This is great. Just
seeing how those conversations go, because one wrong word to turn everything around.
Yeah, the last thing that they did was try to steal a small like low yield nuke from a group of clowns called the Crazy Clowns, and they're all clown themed, but like like ICP joke, but there was already a bozos in Cyberpunk before ICP was even a thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make them more ICP, and just because to make fun of them, because
Bunch of juggalos running around.
I don't really like clowns anyways. But like the whole thing was they had two low wielding nukes. They used one before. They had a second one, but they lost it. They don't know where it's at. They know it's somewhere in their territory, but they don't know where it's at because they're stupid. And it turns out it was on one of the rides and the like amusement mile area, because it's based on New York. My city is, so it's like the Coney Island area. What would be Coney Island is that area. That's where the clowns are. So the roller coaster that's in that amusement park, it's on it. And the roller coaster's just always been going with it on it. And so when they finally get up to that point where they're trying to like, all right, we're going to steal the nuke back from them, because a fixer was like, hey, they wanted to take some jobs in between. They had a 2-week period to do whatever they wanted to before the big job actually started. And I had planned they could do whatever they wanted to, but I was really hoping they would have enough time to do this job. And it turned out, luckily, they all were able to do whatever they wanted to. And they're like, oh yeah, we've got like a couple of days. I'm like, that's a couple of days you can do this mission. Awesome. Because you guys are going to have so much fun trying to steal this fucking nuke from a bunch of clowns. And it went perfectly. Like the way everything went just went swimmingly. It was great. Eric threw it was fantastic. Like I really wish we were like live streaming our like Cyberpunk sessions, because it gets out of hand sometimes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was one of my he was about to mention it. I'm pretty sure there was one of my turns. I think I probably spent like 20 minutes trying to decide if the dice were going to be in my favor or not, because I was standing next to a ticking bomb. And
basically suicide clown.
Yeah. And I was basically like, okay, well, I could pick this up and attempt to throw it at the boss that just walked out of the fun house. But at the same time, will the dice allow me to do that?
Roll a 1, you drop it.
So I spent like 30. I spent probably close to 20 minutes going, I know I should just make a decision and do it, but I'm really afraid I'm going to kill myself.
And then he did it, and it was beautiful, and he fucking blew up the boss.
Well, it was the
lieutenant of the boss.
Yeah.
He threw that grenade and almost fucking killed him with that grenade hit. And then one of the med tech that's on their team finished him off just with the next blow, because he's just like, you're almost dead, so bap. And then T fucking blew the head off of the main bad guy in like one round, because he's like, all right, I'm gonna aim for his head. That hits because I'm in close range. I'm like, all right, roll your damage. He's got a helmet, so it's gonna depend on what you've got.
All right, how does 48
He's like, how does 48 damage sound? I'm like, there's no helmet that could stop that. So he's dead. You just blew his fucking brains out of his head.
It's funny how those little moments, those little victories just mean so much.
Yeah,
but it's like,
I really think if you actually like sat down and played it, you'd really like the tabletop version.
Yeah. I'm down to give it a shot. Like I said, I think I was a little
just wait
bit
for us to kill off
overwhelmed
our med tech.
Yeah.
our med tech NPC. We'll kill him off real quick. And
yeah, they really like him.
Sure we do.
Well, don't kill him off, hospitalize him. You know what I mean? Like long-term care kind of thing.
He's got to come back to fuck with you.
Exactly. He'll be my dirty shadow. You stole my job and my life, bastard.
You son of a bitch.
Exactly. It's a whole nother backstory. But I think
they have a net runner. Her name is Harper, and she only rolls well for specific situations. And it's mainly
she only rolls well for general situations.
Yeah.
When we ask her to do anything specific, she always
cannot
fails.
do anything. It's great. And like she always enters stealth. Like, and I don't know how. Like anytime I do like a roll for her to go stealth to kind of like get around to find an access point so she can upload and get into the net, I always roll like a 9 or a 10. And And I'm like, I don't know how the fuck this happened. She just
turns
like,
into mist and disappears.
I'm gonna roll a stealth for her to see if she can, sneak away. And yep, I'm not.
Oh, do you play with a D10?
Yeah, you roll a D10.
D10.
Like I'm not even gonna add that up. That's a 10, and you get to roll again. And one time she did. I rolled a 10, and I was like, I'm just gonna see. And I rolled another 10. I'm like, y'all don't know where she may have never existed. And there was another time there was just a small random encounter, because I throw the random encounters at them a lot, just to like make them feel like this world is alive, because they're living with gangs constantly fighting each other. But someone attempted to pickpocket them. He failed miserably, like so bad he just like fell over his own fucking feet. And
then I tased the shit out of him.
And no, not that one.
Oh, okay.
That one got away with your money.
Oh no, that's right.
This is the one. And then so they were all like, "What should we do?" Because they all like in character laughed at him because he would like fell that bad, and they were like, "So what do we do?" And I just made a little roll over here and went, "Okay," because I do that a lot as a DM. I do. So when they ask or say something, like I just go, "Okay," or "All right," like, "All right." Those should be this much amount of damage. Okay. They're like, what the fuck do you mean? Okay. Just to like, try not to give them too much information off of my reactions, because sometimes I can't help it if they roll a certain amount. Like they were the beginning part, they had to go find the rocker boy, and he was in one of 3 locations. And in my head, I'd always said he was still in his house, but when they got there, they wouldn't be able to actually get into his house or find him at his house. They would have to wait and find him at the show. That's how, like, in my brain, I'm like, that's how it'll probably go out. But T rolled a fucking 46 to decide, like, perception around the house. And I was like, there's no way, there's not a way that you couldn't hear him with that kind of roll. Like, what the fuck? So they immediately found him. And then that day they went to go look for him was the same day they got the task, but they had 2 days to go do it. They were like, the fixer was like, you've got 2 days. So, you can do whatever you want, but you have 2 days to bring him back on the 3rd. And so they immediately went out and looked for him. And I was like, okay, that's fine. No, y'all can do whatever y'all want. Y'all have 2 extra days if you do that, in my head. And I was like, they got to the house. I'm like, yeah, now they're going to have to do a little fight because of some shit that happened earlier. And then they continued searching his house, and T fucking rolled a 46 on perception to see if he could hear anything, or awareness or notice to see if he could hear or see anything in the house. And I was like, there's no way with a high enough check. Like the check that I set in my head was like 28. Mm-hmm. He blew that out of the goddamn water. He knows he's in that house. So they're going to break in that house and go on it. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? But yeah, Harper, I wrote a little thing to see what Harper do in that situation. And it was the exact opposite of what they would think Harper would do. She fried his brain. She she connected to him, and I rolled for damage, and she criticaled. So she criticaled to roll to see the hit, and I rolled a 10. I was like, roll another 10. That's another fucking 10. What the goddamn fuck? She's hitting the sumbitch, and he's gonna be fried. So that's how she rolled it. So in their head, this guy tried to pickpocket her, fell on the ground. They're like laughing at him, like, what are we gonna do with this idiot? So we just keep going because we got better things to do. They just see Harper pull out her little link for her cyber deck, connected to this dude's head. He fucking fries, puts it away, and she just walks off to continue back onto the metro to continue on with their day.
And we never talked about it.
And in the cart, they were all like, should we talk about that? Nope. It's just great little moments like that. Like you can do that besides in Cyberpunk, but I'm glad that my Cyberpunk campaign has been able to add a bunch of weird little moments like that, where they're just like so much so that the night that we all got to play with you and AJ was playing with us, they asked you to roll a D10 to see how attractive the people were, because they started doing that in my campaign. That's the new thing.
We got to roll a D10 for how attractive.
They started doing that in my campaign. They're like, roll a D10 to see how attractive they are. And I'm like, all right, fuck it.
I'm putting this out into the void now. We're doing that
from now on.
Yeah, this is the thing that happens. We roll D10 to decide attractiveness of NPCs if their attractiveness matters.
Yeah.
It's 2 even.
But just some dumb shit like that. So to the point where it bled into your game, they were like, Roll a d10 to see how attractive she is.
And that's what it is, right? Those little moments that stack up. That's what makes it all so much fun, no matter what game you're playing. And again, we've shared inside jokes. We've shared like those little moments throughout all of our friendships for everything. But to have those in these contextual story bits is just so great. Like it's really, really fun. But yeah, I'm really digging it. I'll give Cyberpunk a chance.
It'd be cool.
I really think we should stream.
We'll just
something.
hospitalize Xander.
Yeah,
I'd love to. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm down for it. We definitely should look into, and I know we've talked about it before, we definitely should look into streaming something as far as a tabletop goes, either doing it remotely or if we could figure out, same location, whatever. But I think it'd be a lot of fun to go that route. But yeah, guys, to wrap everything up, we've had a great conversation tonight.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you gentlemen. I'm gonna start bugging Cameron here in a few minutes. Look forward to seeing you gentlemen for another night of tabletop fun. And yeah, like whenever we'll figure it out. I'll make it to a Cyberpunk campaign, whatever you guys do.
Even if you just want to like join in for like one session just to see how it feels with you.
Yeah, I can go with NPC assignment or something like that. Instead of you rolling for an NPC, I could roll as an NPC, like just assign me something. That's fine too. Yeah, just to test the waters and go from there. I'll just refamiliarize myself with the material because I've got that book like right the fuck there. So, like I printed out like the first like 4 chapters of it or something like that, and the rest of it I have digitally on my phone so I can read it. But all right, guys. With all that being said, we do appreciate everybody joining us for our yapping about tabletop games and how much fun we have with this role-playing goodness. And also, just I don't know, the great escapism that it provides during quarantine has been really fantastic. Hopefully, we can share some of these moments with you in the future, and maybe we can figure something out. Reach out to us if you wanna play, do a remote thing online. I'm spitballing here. I don't know how the fuck that would work, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll
We've
make
been
it work
bit by the bug, so we want to play as much as we can.
Exactly. We'll pull out one shots left and right. We'll give you a character sheet if you want, but it's like a lot of fun.
I'm always happy to get another character out of my head.
Yeah, Eric has enough characters for all of our viewer base to have 2. So
it's not far off.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think what our plan is for everybody, this episode will be going live on a Wednesday next week, and we will be, I think we're going to start trying to stream every other Thursday, rotating the Sausage Tray and Hard at Play. So in 2 weeks, join us back here, roughly 8 or 9 o'clock. We'll let you know, and we'll do Hard at Play. We'll talk about our video game fun. And of course, that'll go up the following Wednesday from that. And then we'll just start rotating these out. It'll be like a monthly thing for us.
Yeah. So if you weren't able to watch live the Sausage Tray this week, next week, you can watch it up on YouTube or the audio version on Wednesday. But there won't be a podcast that Thursday. But the next Thursday, there will be a live podcast. And then if you didn't see it live, you can listen to it or watch it the following Wednesday. So
1 week live, next week published. 1 week live, next week published. I
think it works best for like everybody's situation right now.
Yeah, it really does. But also moving to a live format for anybody listening or watching this later allows you to be part of our conversation. If you jump in and throw some things in chat, watching us on Twitch, we'll respond directly to you as soon as we see it. You can throw us topics live while we're talking. Give us your thoughts on what we're talking about with video games. Unless you try to say Ghost of Tsushima's not good, then we're just going to say you're wrong and ignore your comment. But yeah, this is we look forward to the way we're going to float this format for a while. And we appreciate you guys listening in to us in any format that you receive us in. So thank you again. My name was Justin, Josh, and Eric. I'm pointing the wrong way again.
Yep.
Josh and Eric. Thank you for joining us for the Sausage Tray. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.
That's the wrong bye.
Bye.
There you go.
this isn't actually the end card. No, this is the hell I've been trapped in. This isn't the actual end card I wanted to do. I'm not lying to you. This is just coming out of my brain. But anyways, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content before I go fucking nuts. Oh yeah, and check out some of these videos over here. Thanks.